What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Every Week We Follow. The Premier League is back. Amazing.
What have we been doing
stuff.
for the last 6-8 weeks? It's like,
it's
back,
anyone that's been following our channel has realized that we have been scraping the barrel for any kind of content, especially with Villa's summer as it has been. Although things seem to be kicking off a little bit now, we will get into that in a little bit. But quickly, obviously, we want to plug our competition that we've got going. If you are watching this on your TV like a weirdo, like so many of you seem to do, just scan that QR code down at the bottom. We will also have a link in the description, and usually I pop a little card up there. So you can click that, donate £5. Each £5 donation gives you one entry. You can win this lovely Aston Villa signed ball that Gary is very kindly modelling right now. It
still has Jacob Ramsey's signature on it for now.
It still has Jacob Ramsey's signature on it. It does. Then it could be an heirloom. Then we've got memorabilia from Peter With, from Brian Little, both signed. 2 of them are limited edition, so there are only 200 of them. Yeah. And then the final thing is children's books, again, from Brian Little, which will be signed by Brian Little. So if you are lucky enough to win these, you will get them before Christmas. So for a loved one, or just keep them for yourself. We will get them framed and we will send them out.
And all money is going directly to Acorns Children's Hospice. So you'll be doing everyone a massive favour. The money goes directly to helping families like mine, and they've supported me massively over the last few years. So please, if you can, donate. There you go.
Yeah, you actually had another donation recently, guys. It was $25. So we might have to work out. It's what?
So it's from a guy in Miami.
Yeah, it's from a guy in Miami. So we'll have to send the ball to America. I think.
No, we won't, mate. We've been very, very explicit with the fact that shipping costs are way too expensive. You're only entered into the draw if you're UK based. I'm afraid. Sorry, people.
Well, let's see. Let's see how we go. But yes, we have a very, very lucky to have John here, a Newcastle podcaster. Also, so John, if you just intro yourself, just tell us a little bit about what you do, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, welcome, John. Thanks for coming on, mate.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. So I'm a contributor on the True Faith Newcastle United podcast, which has been around for about 11 or 12 years now. So It's quite a long-standing one. I've been with them for just over 2 years, but was a massive fan of the podcast before I joined. And we do like a weekly free pod on YouTube and Spotify, but we also have a Patreon channel where we do podcasts all the way through the week. So we do one podcast a day pretty much for subscribers, so people can obviously pay behind the paywall to do that. But yeah, apart from that, obviously, full-time work. Apart from that, and looking after me 2 young kids and me wonderful wife, just kind of like, and then try and get the football in around that. So very blessed. Very blessed.
Yeah, I feel. How the hell were you doing a podcast a day during the summer? Literally, like, I can't imagine any Villa channel doing that because nothing was happening.
Well, so Newcastle have got a lot to talk about.
I was going to say, you've had a decent amount, haven't you? Yeah.
Well, I suppose, we've had some podcasts kind of reviewing the previous season, and then we start previewing the coming season. You've got transfer shows, you've got, and then of course it's whatever noise is kind of going on around the club as well, which is kind of what builds on that. There has been a lot of noise this summer. Certain Swedish striker that I'll try not to talk about too much, but essentially because of all of that, it gives you a lot to talk about. But you'd be surprised. It's actually, I think we have had last summer, obviously we weren't as busy in the transfer market, but there's still loads that was happening. But on that channel as well, there's we sometimes get a chance to interview journalists on there as well, or former players and stuff like that. So that kind of content you can really kind of you can do and build anyway. But yeah, thankfully I'm responsible for contributing, not organizing a lot of the time. So it's very much just about making sure that we cover it as much as we can. And I think one of the things that I find really interesting about the channel generally is, like, for international fans, like, it must be a really good outlet because like, as an example, like, I'm quite a big NFL fan, and the franchises out there, they do their own podcasts in house. So, but they're allowed. They're basically told, look, you can talk about what you want. It doesn't represent the views, but you deliver the content you want to deliver. Like Premier League clubs haven't really done that. So because of that, really, there's a lot, like, you rely on fan channels and podcasts to kind of fill that void. And this is the thing with Patreon, and I might be a bit biased because I'm on it, right? But that £8 a month or whatever else, like, now that I pay it, I couldn't not pay it now that I'm doing it because of the kind of content that's on there. Like, I almost, like, you end up relying on it. But then when the matches come, we've got like 5 or 6 podcasts per game. You know,
wow.
it's
actually exhausted. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, fantastic. Yeah, brilliant to have you on the show. So I suppose first question from my side is, what's kind of like Newcastle's aspirations this season? Obviously, you've got the Champions League. You had that 2 seasons ago, and you kind of got knocked out of the group stages. But obviously, the format's changed now, so actually, it's a little bit, I'd say, easier to get through that phase. What are your kind of aspirations for this season, do you feel?
I think it's a failure if we don't make the playoff round of the Champions League is an absolute minimum. I think if you're not finishing in that top 24, something seriously got wrong. You're going to play 2 pot 4 sides, 2 pot 3 sides. That you should be getting 9 or 10 points out of those 4 games. And if you do that, as the league table showed last year, that probably gets you in that playoff round. So that essentially gives you 2 free hits at home against 2 really good opposition. And then you've got 2 free hits away from home on the road. But I think, in all seriousness, for me, the priority has to be trying to qualify for the Champions League again, and becoming qualifying for the Champions League just being something that we do, not something that we aspire to do. And I think it's a big difference between us qualifying 2 years ago when none of us expected us to do it, and qualifying this year to be the second time in 3 years. And all of a sudden there's a different narrative around that, and about, actually, we are a regular competitor in this competition. And I think that last day of the season, in terms of the sliding doors moments, really is absolutely huge for both Villa and Newcastle, because it wasn't just that we got in, it was that we got in ahead of yourselves, because yous are so close to us in terms of the journey, for want of a better word. But I think at the same time, we were talking the other day, Gary, and you've played in Europe last 4 seasons,
yeah.
So you're in a position where you can say we regularly qualify for Europe and occasionally get into the Champions League. We're in a position where we can say we've qualified for the Champions League 2 out of the last 3 years. That's more than Man United have done it. So it does start to put you in a stronger position. But I think what we've also seen this summer is that some clubs still have that gravitas, despite the fact, like, if you would, how you get CVs on, like, where they tell you have to anonymize it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you did that with, like, Man United and Newcastle side to side for players, and how many of them, if they just looked at kind of what the clubs had achieved over the last 5 years, who would pick Man United and who would pick Newcastle now?
It's baffling. It's the same with. It's actually incredible how I don't know if it's unlucky or whether you've just not been ruthless enough in the transfer market this summer. I think it's like 8 players or something that you've apparently missed out on potentially. But, like, it's also a question, like, media though, right? Like, it's in. Go on, guys.
But that comes down for me because the ability to be able to spend, like, you go for players, and if you can't match what they're asking,
it's those wages.
As they come in, they go, well, we'll offer you 150k a week, and then someone says, well, we'll give you 250k a week. Like, the player's going to go with that, isn't it? And with both ourselves, we're being restricted in that. It's not fair, and yet we're still competing in those echelons. For like which is amazing, really. So what you could say is, then you look at. There's nothing wrong with the coaching of both clubs. I think Eddie Howe's done an amazing job, and the fact that they've stuck with him where they could have replaced him, the fact that you even went for Emery before Eddie Howe, like that, we are so connected. It's crazy in terms of how close we are, and obviously you've got way more money than we have, but we've still got wealthy owners that are willing to spend money and want to spend money and want to grow the club. But that top 6 cartel, like, is just not willing to be broken, and we've just got to try and compete with them, with the players that we've got. So the fact, I think, for both clubs, for me, it's a homage that we're managing to keep the majority of the squad that we had last year. I know that EZEC's a massive thing for you guys, and that's, I went on John's Patreon this week, and I said you have to keep Isak under all costs because whatever happens now, sort it out. Like if he's not going to go, I know he's obviously digging his own grave with stuff that he's saying. I'm not going to play for you anymore and all that kind of stuff. That I know that's going to hit really bad with fans. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't go, you can't have a 30 goal a season striker playing in your under 23s. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you've got to draw a line in the sand somewhere, right? So
yeah, well, and he said that, Gary. But let's be real, right? It's a World Cup year. He knows this isn't that he's not going to go the whole year and not play for Newcastle out of spite, right? Because it's going to do him more harm in the long run, even for a club wanting to. If Liverpool were to come back next summer, like, are they really going to want to sign a player that hasn't played competitive top flight football for a year? So on the Isak stuff, I'm of the opinion that we are in a strong position. We can say, look, you've got 3 years left in your contract. We're asking for this money for you. I'd still say, after all this dust is settled, say, look, we're happy to do something with your salary for the next year. We'll put a release clause in, but you make it a lower release clause if it's club abroad. So if Barcelona or Real Madrid come in and they want to pay 100 million, they can have him. But if Liverpool want him, it's 150, something along those lines. But I think there needs to be something, that happens. He clearly wants to, he wants to be playing for a club that wants to win the Champions League. That's okay. I don't have an issue with that. He wants to be paid like a 150 million pound player. That's okay. Don't have a problem with that. It's the way he's done it. It's shit, right? Sorry.
No, Mike, you
no, you can tell you like there, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Really, the other thing, just on the transfers, but I think it's a really fascinating conversation, probably across our fan base at the minute, is that there's somebody said it on Twitter this morning that we've gone from trying to shop in Waitrose to shopping in Morrison's, and all of a sudden we're doing deals. And I think. And funnily enough, I was on TalkSport a few weeks ago, and Rory Jennings had said not Rory Jennings. It was he's the ex-Spurs player. What was he called? Was it David Bentley? No, not David Bentley. He's the other one. Jeremy O'Hara. That was it.
Mr. O'Hara. So, yes.
Anyway, he'd said, you're shopping in Aldi instead of Waitrose now, kind of thing. Well, that's what you're trying to do. And I said, you're just trying to get a bite out of us. But there's an element of truth to that, right? You can afford who you can afford, and you can't afford who you can't afford. We have tried to get the players that we think will improve our squad, and I admire the ambition that the club has shown to do that. However, they've been naive. They've been used by João Pedro's agents, in my opinion. He's been used by Ekitike's agents, in my opinion. And potentially there'll be other ones out there that we know about. Šeško, you could also argue, might have been a situation like that, where there's these noises to say, oh, yes, yeah, they'd be keen to come or whatever. And then all of a sudden, oh, actually, I want to go to Chelsea. I want to go to Man United, whatever.
Yeah, mate. Well, Chelsea did it with Dilap, didn't they? In terms of his agent, certainly because he was, £30 million from Ipswich, quality player. He could have, he just inflates the wages, and the players get what they want, and the agents get paid. And I completely agree. It's not how they do it. I agree. You want all those things. That's fine. Players can have that ambition to earn the top money, playing top teams. Nothing wrong with that. And you, as fans, you go, we wish you all well. Like if that's what happens, but you can't throw your toys out the pram when it doesn't happen. You just get your head down. That's the part of being a professional, isn't it? You stick on it and you go, you've signed a contract, mate, honour it. And, well, to a certain degree, because obviously money does talk. But, he's got a legacy at Newcastle. Without Newcastle, Isak doesn't exist. You've both helped each other. You've raised it, because 2 seasons ago, no one even knew who he was. And now he's probably one of the best strikers in Europe. So,
he didn't start in the League Cup final in 23 as well. People forget that. He wasn't an established starter in our side until the start of the 23-24 season. And look, he's come a hell of a long way. It is no coincidence that players that join Newcastle become better as footballers. We've got a quality coaching staff, an amazing head coach, which drives that quality. And you're right, he's benefited from that. He's not in this position just because, don't get me wrong, he's got some natural ability when he came to the club already, but 100%. He's grown at Newcastle because of the development he's had. And he's shown a lack of respect for his manager, a lack of respect for his teammates, and a lack of respect for the fan base. But I'm telling you, if he doesn't go, and he does stay, and he scores 30 goals next year, this will all be
forgiven.
forgotten. Yeah,
mate. This is like kind of for us, like the John Duran saga last year, where he was on his way to West Ham, and then he stayed and hit the ground running for us. And you just forget about those moments, don't you? So it's all this speculation, just kind of is why it's clickbait, And for me, he's what we lack. Is that firepower up front? Do you know what I mean? Like
we lack it as well at the minute.
Well, yeah. But we have where we've got you've got we've got Watkins. As good as Watkins is, like he's not a 30-goal a season striker, and that's some And if you look at where we finished last season, we missed out on goal difference. Really, we were 20 goals shy of being close to anybody in and around that top six. So it's something that we've got to work on massively. So, like you say, if I was a Newcastle fan, it's disappointing for how he's handled the situation. But like you said, if he comes back into the squad and does the business, then cheers, mate, and he can go on his merry way next season, maybe for the money that he wants to go for.
Like you're not miles off it, are you? I mean, you're in the Champions League. You finished was it fourth last season? Was it third? Fifth? Was it fifth?
Fifth on goal difference. I don't know if you remember.
Mate,
Why do I think it was Chelsea?
He doesn't listen, John.
Mate, I literally thought I knew we finished on goal difference, but I thought it was. Why do I think it was Chelsea? I don't know why.
No, Chelsea. So Chelsea won on the last day at Forest to get to go to 69 points.
Yeah, sorry.
So basically,
so much happened during that game. I was like, I'm going to miss out to Chelsea. Well,
the maths of that whole situation, it got to the point where we were playing Arsenal the week before and we were doing a preview, and I said, for me, this is a bit of a free hit, because if we draw, that's potentially not enough. Because everybody expected you to go to Man United and win, right?
Yeah.
When I say everyone, I think
we only needed a draw.
Well, in the end, you did, but that's it, isn't it? But I think but this is the thing. If we turned up against Everton and won, it didn't matter what you did. But we didn't. We lost, and obviously that coincided with what happened with yourselves. So, but it was to the point where we were at Arsenal, and I'm thinking, well, we don't really need a point here, because actually it's not going to make a massive difference. We either need to win or, we go into next week knowing that we need a win. It didn't change the maths a lot. So,
unfortunately, we did what Spurs did the previous season. We absolutely went Spursy and bottled it. Do you know what I mean? Because we should never have finished fourth in the season that we did. Spurs had 3 games in hand of us. If they'd have just won 2 of those, they would have leapfrogged us, and they just didn't. They couldn't put results together. And this is the key development point for me for us as a squad, is that we've got to finish off these key games, because we had 5 or 6 games last season that cost us our whole season, really. The FA Cup semi-final against Palace, numerous Bournemouth at home, Ipswich at home, where we were Forest away. Even those 3 games, there's a couple of others as well that I could mention.
Palace away.
Palace away, Ipswich away. We were 2-0 up.
We'll never beat Palace. We'll just don't forget about Palace. Don't worry about that. Oh my God, mate!
We are going to beat them on the 3rd game of the season, mate.
Can we just put them in? Can we just agree and put them in differently? Can we just agree to skip that fixture each season? Just forfeit it. It's just horrible. It's horrible to watch. It's detrimental to the confidence of players. It's just horrible every time. I just wanted to get onto. So obviously, there's news breaking pretty much over the last 24 hours. Looks like Jacob Ramsey is on his way over to Newcastle. I, for one, think it's a brilliant move for him. Wow, he's going to be playing again at the highest level in European football. He's going to be playing under a really good manager. It sounds like he's going to be playing centrally, which for Villa, from what I understand, the backroom staff actually think of Villa, he can only play on the left. They don't see him as a central player. So, whereas I've always think he's really good as that box-to-box driving central midfielder, kind of like Morgan Rogers. The way he carries the ball, we've talked about that, Gary. We've only ever seen him and Grealish really carry the ball like that up the pitch. 40 million, I'm quite happy with that as a Villa fan.
Over the moon, mate, because we said this all along in pre-season across the pods, is that this is the one sale that we thought, if it was going to happen, would happen. As much as this pains me, because he's one of our own, and we've watched him grow up through the team as a young kid. I've met him 3 or 4 times at Acorns with the work that we've done, and he's a lovely, lovely guy. Honestly, he's a guy you want in and around your club, if I'm honest. And I'm just gutted for him, because the last 2 seasons for us, he's been injured. He broke his foot away with under 21s in England, and it was niggling, and he came back, and it happened again, and like so he obviously came back too soon. So we haven't had a fully fit Ramsey for the best part of 3 seasons, really. So I wish him all the best. I think it's a mega deal for us. We have to cut our losses. Pure profit from a PSR, FFP, like SCR. Yeah, and it means that we could probably go out and make a signing ourselves, which I think will happen. Once this is confirmed.
Yeah, just on that. You said this before. We'll obviously get your opinion, John. It's not like we're just going to talk about it.
Fine.
I'm not sure if we will, Gary. I'm not
Asensio,
sure.
mate. There's big rumours about Asensio coming back on loan.
Right, but oh my god, right. Right, okay. We'll get on to the Asensio thing. The thing with Ramsey, Gasson can play obviously left, centre, and right. We've also got Rodgers who can play out on that left-hand side as well. So I actually think Gasson was kind of the swap here. But with Asensio, I just fear for Morgan Rodgers. He's just going to get pushed out on that right-hand side too much. And he's so ineffective out there. I just hated it. And he's so expensive from wage point of view. I just don't personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm kind of like, I think we've got enough cover there. I think we've got enough players. We're not in a Champions League season. It's a Europa League season. I know we need squad numbers. It's different. I just don't think Asensio is the answer. John, what are you guys making noises around Ramsey? What are you thinking?
I think what you have to look at is we got rid of Sean Longstaff this summer. Sold him to Leeds. Longstaff's been a fantastic servant for the club, but he hadn't started a game in the Premier League since I think it was December against Brentford when we lost 4-2 at their place. And then Tonali came in as a permanent fixture, and after that, Longstaff was almost like 5th or 6th choice behind Miley and Willock. And look, he's been a tremendous servant, but he needs to go and play regular football, and I think he'll do that at Leeds. Now, what we probably didn't realise at the time, because of all this Isak nonsense going on, is how important that central midfield was until the weekend. So we had 2 friendlies at the weekend. We played Espanyol on Friday night, and then we played on Saturday against Atletico Madrid. And how we'll do is he'll split the squad in half. Basically, he'll have 2 11s that he plays. And on Friday night, he played Matt Targett in midfield. And on Saturday, he played Harrison Ashby in midfield. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Harrison Ashby. He's a right back who we signed 3 years ago, who's been going out on loan, hasn't touched the squad. He was playing in one of those midfield 3 positions. Wow. So all of a sudden, you're thinking, we probably need a central midfielder here because Willock's injured. So Miley's a fantastic talent, and I think I think he's really, really come on. And I'm not comparing him to Steven Gerrard. I'm not saying he's going to get to that level, but he reminds me loads of Stevie J. He really does as a player. I think Ramsey, for me, it's young English talent. Clearly has got a lot about him, and he's about to work under the best Monday to Friday manager in the league. So it's an absolute no-brainer for me. If you're saying to me you're going to take out Longstaff and replace him with Jacob Ramsey,
it's an upgrade.
It's a hell of an upgrade. So, and what you said, it's interesting what you said about the injuries and the kind of injuries he's had, and I think that's interesting because you were mentioning this just off air before, and I was like, "Oh, great, we're signing someone else injury prone." But you think the likes of Tino Livramento had an ACL before Newcastle signed him, and he's had no issues with injuries since. We've done this before where we've kind of taken a bit of a punt on a player who's maybe had an injury, but I think we've probably looked at what kind of injury was it, because some of them, if someone gets regular muscle, the best example I can give, well, someone like Kieran Dyer as an example, right, was injury prone, right, and he was, and some of that would have been, the football he played, some of it, would have been related to other things, but look, he was not as available as we would have wanted him to be, and he was a talented player when he could play. But if you've had an issue with a broken foot that hasn't healed properly, if you look after that right, you can come back and you can have, it's not going to be something that's should repeat on you, I suppose. Yeah. So, yeah, I think for us, I think the question you have to ask yourself at the end of the window is the squad stronger? If you'd asked me a week ago if I felt I was confident that would happen, I don't think I would be. I think now I'm starting to feel like the movement, there's been a lot of noise about Vissa. I think that will probably happen, given the fact that I think Brentford are apparently in talks to sign forward now, so that will hopefully allow him that business to happen. And then we have to just solve the Isak conundrum one way or another, whether he stays or whether he goes and we've managed to bring in another striker. And even look, you're never going to replace Alexander Isak because he's one of the best 5 strikers in the world. And I think we'll have to. You can't say, well, he's not as good as Isak. Well, that's any player you sign. But can you sign somebody with the potential to get to the level of Alexander Isak? Probably not this window, but if you can sign someone to bridge that for a year or two and identify someone in the next couple of years and bring them in, then that's, I think, the way you have to go, because you're never going to be able to buy them ready-made. And when in the PSR world we're in, we wouldn't be able to afford the wages or the transfer fee to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ramsey thing, I wish him well if it does go through and nothing kind of like catastrophic happens. This will probably be done by the time this video actually goes live. This is what usually happens with us, by the way. We usually record something, we put it live, and then it's already gone. Brilliant. And now everyone's going, "Oh, you dumb idiots! We've signed someone." But yeah, that's what always happens.
We mentioned off here just to conclude on the Ramsey situation. That a fully fit Ramsey, mate, is an absolute addition to any squad in the Premier League for me. I'm genuinely gutted that he'll be leaving because he's got
a really high ceiling.
Yeah, he's only 24, I think. So he's still relatively young to develop his game. He can score goals from midfield. He can create it. His work rate is phenomenal. He will bust a gut in midfield for you. He'll track back. He'll do all the stuff that you need to be done off the ball. And that's always how I've always judged players for the Villa and in general in football. It's not what they do on the ball. All these Premier League players are good enough to play at that level. It's what they do off the ball. It's how hard do they work for the team. Do they do the nitty gritty stuff? Because for me, that's where you get the greatest teams, and that's where it inspires people around you. And Ramsey has done that for us over the years, even as a young lad. And so, I'm like I said, I'm sad that he's going to be leaving. But you're getting one hell of a player. And if you look after that foot injury, I think he was just been unlucky with us. I think he come back. He come back against Brighton. He scored a wonder goal, and then I can't remember if someone just trod on his foot. And it just aggravated. Maybe it was a little bit too soon for him to come back, but then he was out for another 3 months, and it damages you, doesn't it? So
and then Rodgers came in, didn't he?
And then Rodgers came in, and
he just couldn't
get the season of his life. So
it's been difficult.
And I just say that football's about moments, and those are kind of what's happened in that situation, I guess.
Yeah. So all the best to Jacob Ramsey. So onto the weekend. Opening fixture.
Come on, 12:30 kickoff. TNT.
Yeah, 12:30 kickoff Saturday. How are you guys feeling when those fixtures came out and you saw that first fixture away at Villa? How are you feeling about that?
I mean, I don't think we've got the best start if you look at our fixtures. I think, and that's probably a huge understatement, given the fact that we play Liverpool Monday night the following week, especially after the summer that we've all had. Yeah. I always feel like it's better to play these games early. And I think you have a better chance because teams will be getting back into their rhythm, may not be there, and there's an opportunity. Now, the big question is are you in your rhythm now? Our pre-season hasn't been amazing when you look at it from a results point of view. So, yes, we beat Carlisle in the National League behind closed doors week 1. Week 2, we lost at Celtic 4-0. And then we haven't had a win in pre-season, basically, in front of the crowd. So that's not a good habit to be in. But the opponents we've played though, we've played, as I say, we played Celtic, but they were 2 weeks out from starting their full league
Champions
season
League campaign, and the Champions League campaign qualifiers at night. So
and then you've also got we played Arsenal, we played Spurs, we played Atletico.
Tough games.
We did play a Korean All-Stars 11, but that was mostly our second string midweek. And then we've played Espanyol and Atletico. And Espanyol, we absolutely played I put it this way: if you look at the team that played against Atletico on Saturday, 7 or 8 of those will start on Saturday. That was much more. That was much closer to our first team than the other 11 was. So I look at it and I think you've got to train harder for the fight that you're going to be in to do well in it. So I'm not going to look too much in the results. What I would say is that I think if we get a point at Villa Park, that's a really, really good result for us. I think, look at the last 3 times we've been there, we've won 1, we've lost 2, but these games are never close. Like
No.
on paper, you think on the league in the league, you think right. Well, there was only goal difference separating them, so they must be really close. But it was 3-0 at St James's Park last year. It was 4-1 at your place. Like, and then prior to that, I think we beat you 3-1 at your place. We beat you 5-1 at our place. Well, the one that hit us probably harder than most was April 23 when you beat us 3-0 at your place when we were going for the Champions League, and that's when you were obviously on your ascendancy up the league.
It's best performance that was almost that was, mate, at Villa Park. Ramsey against you.
And that's it. But that's when you were on your ascendancy. Do you know what I mean? You were arriving, and I think, and the thing with Villa is there's a bit of needle there. There's been a bit of needle there from our fan base point of view, probably since 2009. After we got relegated,
it's when you got relegated, right?
Yeah. And the sob on the Tyne and all of that stuff, right? And a lot of people have not forgotten about that. And what are we like? This is almost 15 years later or whatever it is. Yeah,
I think that's fair, because I think if it had been the other way around, I'd still have a little bit of bitterness towards that. Absolutely, you know.
But then you did it again 7 years later, so you didn't learn. Even though like you were dragging us down with you, essentially. But yeah, so there's always been needle there for that.
John, is that we don't learn.
But then the other side of it, of course, is because of how close we are in the league and about challenging this monopoly that's being there at the top of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? That just intensifies it even more. So it's a really hard start of the season. And the last time we won in front of fans, day one away from home, was against Bolton in 2007, and we won 3-1. And that was a Bolton side I'm fairly sure got relegated that year. It might have been the year after they went, but like I've got a feeling they went down. It was when Allardyce had just left, so Sammy Lee was their manager. Allardyce was his first game in charge for Newcastle, and it was at the Reebok. So that's how long it's been since we've done it in front of fans. The last time we did it overall was the COVID season. We beat West Ham at their place, but football didn't really count then, so it's difficult to kind of use that.
We beat Liverpool 7-2. We beat Liverpool 7-2 during that period. I will not forget that game. That was unbelievable. It's I don't know how to predict this one. So let's on that note, let's get on to our predictions. So what we usually do is we write them down on paper, and then we will reveal them slowly afterwards.
I'm going to say that my prediction is based on the fact that we're at home. I was just very happy when these came out that we were not at St James's Park, because it's not been a very good visiting place for us. I think, as you mentioned there, John, the last few results we've been spanked, not just beaten but spanked, and that's never a good way to start a season, in my opinion. Now, granted, we've all the other point is that you made, John, is that, you know, it's better to get these games out of the way. And if you do lose heavily on the first game of the season, obviously you've still got the momentum to come in. And we have finished strongly in the last couple of seasons. Bit frustrating that last season because, like I say, we chucked away that Man United game, really. We off the back of 8 straight victories, I think it was. You know, and you just go probably against the poorest Man United side. We made them look bloody prime Barcelona. So yeah, like you say, sometimes football just doesn't work out how you think it's gonna.
We haven't.
But I'm just glad we're at home.
We haven't lost at home since the first game of last season against Arsenal.
Yeah, which we shouldn't have lost, by the way. I've still got the message from Ollie Watkins.
Oh, Ollie Watkins.
Burned in my retinas, right? From like how we didn't win that game, I'll never know. And Morgan Rogers basically made Arsenal's midfield look like a bunch of under-12 boys. Like he absolutely bossed that game. So yeah, I'm not overly confident, but I'm quietly confident we can get a result on Saturday. Just purely for the fact that our home record and the fact that we're at home. It's the first time we've been at home in 4 seasons, I think.
We haven't had a pre-season game at Villa Park either.
No, because we've had concerts and various. The pitch isn't quite finished yet. I think they're still laying it as of yesterday. So it's going to be right down to the wire. Get there early because we might have to outlay the grass just to kind of get going.
Right, guys. So what we'll do is me and Gary will raise our scores at the same time, and then John will do yours after that. Cool. Right, guys, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Oh, there. Look at that. In sync.
There we go. That's
why
we work together, mate, because it's just
that was not
mind.
planned. That was not planned.
I mean, I feel more confident now because I saw your predictions for Man United last year, so I feel much better already.
I did say, John, that my predictions often mean nothing, so you don't be too scared by that.
Yeah. So, John, what have you gone for?
Go on then.
So I think it's going to be a really tough game. But I think if we've not had the best summer, I think the reason we've not felt like we've had a good summer is because of all the Isak nonsense, all that noise. Like that's 70 or 80% of the feeling. I think actually, if you look at would we have wanted to get some of the players in a little bit sooner? Yes, we would have done. That would have been better for prep. Like, obviously Chow's signed, but he's not going to be starting on Saturday. I'd be very, very surprised if he did. So it's going to be largely kind of the players that we've had pre-season. I fancy a draw. I think that's what I'm going to go for. I think that if we can, and I think that would be seen as a positive result. Overall, if we can get anything better than that, amazing. But I think if we can go to Villa Park and draw first game of the season, I think that might just help calm some of the noise down a little bit. So I've gone for 1-1.
Oh, it's gone 1-1. Oh, yeah. I did wonder whether we'll score 2 goals. that was the main thing. I was like, do I go 1-0? I was like, no, we always concede. Mings or someone will make an absolute.
And I think if we had someone like Alexander Isak up front, I think I'd probably predict that we win, but we won't. It's likely to be Barnes, Gordon, and Alanga as our front three, with Gordon going through the middle. And Gordon, although he can play that position, it's not his natural position. The midfield picks itself with Tonali, Bruno, and Joe Linton. The back four, it's whether Botman starts ahead of Cher or whether it's Byrne Botman. I think that's basically what that's going to look like. And then in terms of,
go on, sorry, John, carry on.
No, I was just going to say in terms of the left back and right back, I think you probably end up with Tino Livramento playing left back and Trippier playing right back. Just with the amount of minutes that Hall's had pre-season, I think I'd love to see him start, but I'd be surprised. But I think if Hall's fit, it'll be Hall and Livramento that start.
And what about your goal? Because you've got Aaron Ramsdale to compete with Pope.
We do, and do you know what it is? I was really impressed with him on Friday night. Now, I was never a massive Ramsdale fan, and I need to throw that out there now, right? Because I was one of these thinking like I didn't understand my Arsenal sign. I was like, what are they signing him for? I thought he really grew into that position, and I think by the time he got dropped for Raya, I think it felt a bit harsh. And he just had this calmness about him on Friday that I haven't seen for a while in a Newcastle goalkeeper. And I don't think he's going to start on Saturday, but I think he'll have the gloves by the end of the season.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting prediction. You heard it first. It's an exclusive.
I was just gonna say, actually, when you talk about the front three, that actually terrifies me because pace, pace.
Oh yeah,
and we are so bad against pace because we do play not as high. It's not as crazy high as it was a few seasons ago, but we do play that high line. If he plays Pau Torres, he's just not quick enough to get back. No. Maatson will get caught high up the pitch, and that terrifies me. And Alanga, what a signing that is, man! Honestly, that guy's unreal. Obviously, I follow Forest quite closely because my in-laws are Forest fans, and he led the line for Forest quite a lot. So actually, I'm surprised you wouldn't play him up central.
Well, I said this. We did. Obviously, we we do one podcast every day. And one of the pods was we were talking about Alanga and kind of what he brings and all of this. I think it was one of the transfer shows we did, and I made the point that actually, if you look on Transfer Market, the amount of games he's played in each position on the front three, it's actually fairly balanced. I think he's only played like 10 or 20 more games on the right than he has in any other position. And centre forward, he'd still played like a decent chunk. I think it was something daft like between the right side and the centre, there was only like 20 games in that range. So like he's played a lot of football through the middle. But you've also got Harvey Barnes who can finish, and there's always some people are like, well, could you play him through the middle? Maybe, but I just don't think that's his game. I think he likes to just be in that position where he can cut in on that side. And I think that's probably the conundrum is Gordon doesn't want to play on the right. Barnes doesn't want to play on the right. So if you play Elanga through the middle, you've got to play one of them on the right. So actually, how do you solve that problem? When you put Barnes on the left, you put Gordon through the middle, and you put Elanga on the right. Elanga, his pace is frightening. Saw him live for the second time, but a lot closer up. So I was at Celtic a few weeks ago, and he was only played the second half. He didn't get a lot of the ball, but also we were behind this goal really low down. So he was right the other side of the field. So I probably didn't appreciate it as much, but we were in the East Stand on Saturday afternoon, and the pace that he shows, that their left back was shitting himself every single time. Like Elanga was running at him. That I probably didn't see enough end product on Saturday, but I think I've seen him have that before. It's not something I'm worried about. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a great signing for us, but also him and Chow have been really clear in their interviews. They absolutely wanted to come here. And they wanted to play football for Newcastle. Ramsdale as well, to be fair. They've all made... And I know that, sometimes some of these things are engineered to, oh, so how excited are you about playing Newcastle? Oh, it's amazing. But there is a genuine... It feels like, some of the things Elanga was saying, he said, well, I feel like I've been here for 2 years already. He felt like it was the right move for him. He's already had loads of mates here. Like, people who, we didn't realise he was, really good mates with, Sven Botman. And obviously William Asula we saw all over the socials. And ironically, the one person we thought it would really help keep was Alexander Isak. So maybe we misread that one slightly, because obviously they play for Sweden together. So we're excited, but we are excited about Elanga. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say, I always love those those interviews. Yeah, it was just such an easy decision. It's like, Jack Grealish going to Everton. I've always wanted to be here. It's wonderful.
It's a boyhood dream. As soon as I spoke to the manager, I saw a mock-up of a thing about Jack Grealish, which said, I can't wait to play for Sean Dyche, right? And it just made me howl. Right? Obviously, it's an AI-generated thing, but it was taking the mick out of Grealish, but it was quite funny. Back to this game, though, I think we talked about Elanga. I think this game will be won or lost on Emery's decision of our back fours. Ultimately, I think if he does play with Pau Torres, I will be fuming, because he's the guy is not quick enough. He's just not. And anyone with pace against him, you'll have Matt. Like if we do play with Matson, I think what will happen if he starts with Torres, he'll play Dina. So and we'll be a little bit more. Now, if we go with Mings and Konza, then he'll go with a more of attacking fullbacks, which we kind of tried at the start of pre-season, but it didn't work. And it was to be fair, it was with some of the youngsters as well. So I don't know if that's a thing he's going to actually try this year. If he does, it's a new formation to go into a very good Newcastle team, and you run the risk of it not being executed to right, and we could be punished on the counter attack. So that's something to think about. But I still think at home, opening day of the season, I think the noise is going to be incredible at Villa Park. I think we can just do it, because the last 3 games of our pre-season have been Roma, Marseille, and I went to the Roma game, and we were outstanding in the first half. Like, I know Roma didn't really put much of a fight, but we moved the ball really quickly, and we haven't done that. We haven't done that in previous seasons. Me and James have debated this. I've said we've got a great side, and you can see what we're trying to do, but sometimes we're just too slow in the process of moving the ball, and teams get behind, and then we run out of ideas. In pre-season, even against Marseille, although we lost the game, we had passages of play where we just 3 passes and we're in, and we have got pace in our squad too. And then against Villarreal, we actually, I don't know how we didn't lose the game. Like, this is a classic case. They absolutely battered us in the first half. We should have been 4-1 down, but we were clinical. We had 2 chances and scored 2 goals, and that sometimes is football, isn't it? So, and what I will say is, as long as he stays, it looks like he is. Ollie Watkins has looked super sharp in pre-season. Like he's actually looks like he's really up for it. And last season he didn't have that pre-season because he came straight back from the Euros. So if he can take that form into Saturday's game, you just never know, And I think if we can score first, I think we'll win the game. If we're chasing the game, I think I agree with you, John. I think a draw would be a great result. And I think the aim is just not to lose, because that's something we've done a lot on the opening day.
if they get the first goal, that pace will rip us apart, because we'll have to try and chase
the game.
But Yeah, he's got to play, like, he has to play Mings because one, the pace, so his recovery speed's really good, but then also just that strength in the air. Like, your centre backs are absolute towers. Like, so those kind of like set piece issues, like we've not been great with it, and I can see us being bullied. And like Joel Linton,
it's all right, mate. And I'm sure you know, John. We've got the fabulous Aston McPhee as our set piece coach, and like he's just a phenomenal man.
I think he's a rock star, that bloke, doesn't he?
It looks like part of ABBA. That's what it looks like.
Just like, but it's just like every like, I feel like he's on more than Emery is, like on the coverage. Like every 5 minutes, goes to this guy with this long hair and a clipboard or a tablet, and he's just there, and it's just like, yeah. So you just like. It's mad. I think on the whole Towers at the back four, I think the only thing is that our back four does have an issue as well in terms of pace, and I think we're not gonna. Again, it depends which way we go, right? If Botman plays, which I hope he's, if he's fully fit, Botman should start. He absolutely should. He's our best central defender at the club. If he's not fit enough to start and he plays Burn and Share, then that's going to play at your hand. Burn's decent in the air. Share isn't as good, but he's but again, Share's got other qualities about him as well. So, but yeah, from that point of view, yeah, we've got some good big players in there. But I think the other point as well is, and my mate said this the other day when we were at the friend, he was like, how does like a big player, like he does like look like his tall players. I mean, even the Korean guy that we signed, Park Soo Sung. He was about 6'1", 6'2", and you think actually, we are trying to build a squad of bigger players because it is going to help you, certainly in those scenarios as well, from a set piece perspective.
I think, like you said about the pace, I think you're lucky. Well, it depends on how we play, right? Like Gary's talking about us up in the tempo in pre-season, and that's what we're going to need. Because otherwise it doesn't really matter. You can slowly sit back. We'll slowly work up the pitch. We do our little thing where we go side to side and we kind of have all these little patterns of play. But Donny Marlon, he's the one. For me, Donyell Marlon is going to be the one to watch for Villa. He's straight in my football, in my fantasy Premier League team, personally. It's more about whether he gets the minutes, really. So what I'm about to do is quickly, just for those who haven't seen before, so we do have this app called Every Week We Predict. So you can go to everyweekwepredict.com. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in our prediction where, Gaz, it's lucky. We don't have to do any kind of arguing here or work out anything because we have
2-1, baby.
We have the same score. When do you think the first goal minute's going to be?
I'm going to go 16th.
Oh, mate, I keep doing 16 and it never comes off. But yeah. So I'm submitting that prediction, so that is now in. So that's how easy it is. You get your predictions in. I've cleared the database, so everything's clear now. So there'll be the leaderboard on the right hand side, your stats on the right hand side. All you gotta do is just sign up with your email address, make a new password, and you can get your predictions in. I'll be releasing these fixtures as and when I add them because it is all manually done. Perfect, great. I think that's everything then, really. I think I'm just looking forward to the game now, mate. I'm actually going. I wasn't going to be originally. Gary is going to see Mariah Carey, which he keeps on getting slagged off in the comments for. But yeah, you're missing the first game of the season.
My beautiful wife. Honestly, we've got the kids looked after. It's 4 days of just the two of us. I'm very excited by it. However,
we're planning,
but booked it on the whim that we would be away because we've been away on the last 4 days of the season. I just thought it's bound to be another away fixture, and of course I got it horribly wrong. So yeah, I'll be watching in a pub somewhere in Norfolk.
Just to be clear, it's not just Mariah Carey, Gary.
Oh no, I'm going to see Michael Bublé as well. It's a double whammy. I'm
you do know it's not Christmas, Gary, don't you?
Yeah, mate, it's Christmas in August. I like to start early, mate. Just get into that festive.
You'll have your tree up next week. God.
Yeah. Just to make us feel good about things. Yeah, 100%.
Brilliant. Well,
I think for me, so just to finish on, John, a couple of quick fire kind of things, like in terms of to round it all up. I guess in a couple of words, sum up your hopes for the season, like in terms of what you want. Again, just to refresh everyone's memory, because we talked about that right at the start.
So definitely progression at the knockouts for the Champions League. Yeah. Another trip to Wembley. That would be
fair enough.
They would be the two things. And I think, look, the club ultimately wants to get to the Champions League qualification. I think if we do manage that this season, it's another overachievement by this great manager.
So, what would be your best case finish prediction so if let's face it, if it was, you could choose one, where realistically do you want to finish? Because you said you'd be overachieving with that. So, what is your best case finish?
I think we finished. I think we've had a really good season. We finished 6th.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Wow.
We finished 6th. I think that's a really good year.
I think you'll be in those Champions League places again, mate, once the situation dies down.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere, and we've covered it. I think once he fits in, you'll be absolutely fine this season. I think you could be pushing for that top 4, top 5, hopefully, to break in. Because if you can do it, or if we can do it, break into that cartel 6, then we can start. It starts ruffling a few feathers, doesn't it? And that's what we need to do. So fingers crossed with that one. And finally, one must-watch player from the team that we should keep an eye out for over the season, you reckon?
It's difficult to say keep an eye on because everyone knows about him, but Sandro Tonali for me. I just think he's an absolute Rolls Royce of a footballer. He's when he is on tune, like Newcastle are just such an amazing side. Like he just provided when he came in December and he started to play that 6th role, like the confidence that there was from the defence just because he was able to do that, but also his ability to then transition it and move it forward. That also allowed Bruno, who looks fitter than I've ever seen him look in pre-season. So he's probably one to watch out for as well, but that allows Bruno to be better. So, but Bruno isn't as good as he is without Tonali doing the role that he does.
Well, the thing is, mate, you've got a player there who you've, pardon the pun, took a gamble on. Right? And what will be rewarded is probably pure loyalty, mate, because I think both, like you just mentioned there, both Tonali and Bruno absolutely love that club. But when I've watched you play, the passion that they show for that badge is something that every every fan wants in their midfield, if I'm honest. So, yeah, good shout, mate. Nice one. And that, I think, kind of finishes it off nicely, I think.
Yeah, that wraps it up. As always, guys, like, subscribe down below. Don't forget the competition as well, as Gary said. If you want to sign up to Every Week We Predict, everyweekwepredict.com, and then you can just sign up there and get predicting. And at the end of the season, I think we're hoping we should be able to do some kind of cash prize probably for the winner. That's what we're thinking, but I'm not committing to that just yet. Yeah, I think that's everything. I think this will be coming out. We're recording this on the Wednesday. It's going to come out tomorrow on the Thursday. And then on Monday, we will have the post-match. Is that right, Gary? Are you back?
Yep.
Yeah,
yes,
cool.
I'm back Monday. Yeah, so we can do the post-match analysis. Just one final thing for me, mate, is for those that tuned in yesterday, obviously we are officially part of this new Sky Sports app, which is called Analyse, which is due to be released later on in the season, around about November after 10 games. So please go and check that out. It's all over social media at the moment. James and I are part of the starting 11. We've been selected. We went for our trial. We obviously smashed it. Scored hat-tricks a piece, a couple of assists in there, some excellent tracking back and last-ditched tackles, and they've somehow selected 2 idiots from Birmingham to actually comment on stuff that's going to go on Sky Sports. I don't know how that's happened, but it has. So please go and check all that out. It's going to be an exciting season, and I can't wait for Saturday. So yeah, there we go.
Up the Villa. Gary, sing us out, mate.
Every week we follow the boys in claret and blue. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, see you, man.
Cheers, John. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us.